ASUS ROG Raikiri II wireless controller is now here, priced at $190 and it competes with other premium controllers like the Razer Wolverine and other high-end options. For $190, this has to offer a lot, and it does. Of course, when you buy a controller like this one, you're going to need actual games to play, and Eneba has you covered on that front. Especially after spending $190 on a controller, you're going to want to save all your pennies buying games, and that's where they come in. Low-price games, gift cards, and more. They have secure payments, quick refunds, and support in case anything goes wrong. Check out Eneba in the description. Right off the bat, ASUS is continuing the layout they started with the new ROG Xbox Ally devices, by including the dedicated command center and library buttons, as well as the big Xbox button right in the middle. This means this is a perfect complement to a docked ROG Xbox Ally X, or to use with the new Xbox full screen experience. Since this is a multi-platform capable controller, it does work with your desktop PC and PC handhelds, but also with your Xbox consoles, and you can do that with the 2.4 GHz dongle or wired through USB-C. This is actually a pretty big feature. Wireless Xbox controller capabilities is cool. Taking a tour of the actual controller, and the sticks are anti-drift TMR joysticks, rated for up to 5 million times for usage. I actually like these sticks quite a bit. The texture is nice and smooth, it's not rough at all, and the sticks glide easily while being used, and it's overall pretty great. The box does have another option for taller sticks, but I found those to be just a little bit too tall. I prefer the shorter ones that are much more similar to an Xbox controller style. The D-pad is a micro switch D-pad, and it feels great. It is extremely accurate, easy to push down, nice tactile feel with the switches, and I'm a pretty big fan of it. The buttons themselves are also micro switch, not a lot of travel at all. They are pretty clicky, but not clacky like an Xbox controller. But like the D-pad, and given that I am sort of used to these types of buttons now on other controllers, I'm a big fan of these. On the top, we have some pretty clicky shoulder buttons, but accurate once again. Anywhere you push along the shoulder is registered as a click. And we do have dual mode triggers on the back, which is my new favorite feature in controllers. So you can have the TMR sensor analog triggers that work well with racing games and so on, or just flip the switch and they become micro switch triggers. And you'll have short presses that work better with shooters and the like. At the back are 4 other extra buttons, and they actually rest right where your fingers would be, which can be a good and a bad thing. You can unmap these in the software, or you can use them. I do find myself hitting these buttons randomly when I don't intend to, and so I sway more towards the unmapping of the buttons. But the positioning of these buttons are perfect for anybody that wants to use them. Then, of course, we have the switch for Xbox or PC mode, as well as the tri-mode switch for 2.4 GHz, USB-C, or Bluetooth modes. It is actually really nice to have one controller that can do every single mode that it wants to do. Now, the one major thing that stood out to me over my time with this controller is how light it is. This weighs just 257 grams, whereas a normal Xbox controller is 294 grams, with the included batteries. You can feel that difference in your hands, and it is actually super nice. You would think 40 grams wouldn't make a difference, but it absolutely does. And that really ties into just how comfortable this controller is. I am a big fan of Xbox-style controllers like this one, and so I'm no big stranger to them. But this is just comfort food as a controller. My hands and fingers all rest in the right spots. I don't feel like any of them are out of place, and honestly, it just feels heavenly. It is a weird thing to say about a controller, I know, but it really does. It is so very comfortable and light that it just feels great. The controller itself has a polling latency of 1000 Hz for either wired or 2.4 GHz mode, and also has some really low numbers for latency. It is 2.32 milliseconds for wired and 3.54 for 2.4 GHz mode. Being quite honest here, I already found 2.4 GHz latency numbers to be quite good across most controllers, and I am just not a competitive gamer to notice the slightest millisecond difference. But for me, this felt super responsive and quick, and that's exactly what I want. Battery life is also fantastic. This lasts me a long time before I actually need to charge it. ASUS says it is up to 50 hours of battery life without the RGB lighting on, audio, and so on. And I believe them. I have been using RGB lighting and all that sort of thing, and I think I've charged it like once a week or so after hours and hours of gaming. So it's awesome that way. Looking back at what's in the box, and there's a few cool things here. The first is the included controller case, which for the price of this controller, I would assume would be included. So it's nice to have here. It has spots for the controller, the charging dock, which we'll talk about in a second, the extra sticks, and a nice little pouch. However, another feature that I love seeing is the little flap on the back that you can actually close to keep dust out, but also it allows you to charge the controller while it's in the case. It's the little things that get you. Like I mentioned, there is an included charging dock as well, which I fully expected to be upright, and instead it is a flat down style. They have gone a bit further on this one, with the charging dock being able to act as a wireless extender for the controller as well. So what you can do is plug the 2.4 GHz dongle into the charging dock while it's plugged into your PC. And now you can place that anywhere on your desk and you get a signal without interruption. Now it's funny, but before this week, I probably wouldn't have cared about that feature at all. Not something that I would have worried about or anything like that. However, this week, I bought a Logitech keyboard and mouse. And I was having trouble with my mouse when connected to my computer, when I had the little dongle in the back of my computer, because apparently that mouse has issues with interference. And so, despite the fact that it was only 2 feet away, my mouse was jittery, had all these sorts of issues. And so what I had to do was include a USB hub to get that dongle all the way to my desk, and that way the signal was uninterrupted and it was fine. So, when I sat here and I saw this new feature on the ROG Raikiri II, I was like, yes, I understand who would need this now. I didn't have any issues with the Raikiri when it is plugged into the same spot the mouse dongle was plugged into, but it is nice for others that may be in a different scenario where you want to have some extra uninterrupted dongle interference. Dongle interference, that is a new word, new phrase of the day. Anyways, it is a good feature. It will be useful to a lot of people that maybe their desktop is a little bit further away, maybe it's behind interference, all that sort of thing. Then we get to another awesome feature, and it's actually the software, which you don't need to install. I don't know about you, but having reviewed controllers forever now, I have apps for GameSir, 8BitDo, and others everywhere, installed all over my computer, my phone, all of it, and it's sort of annoying. ASUS's GearLink software for this device is web-based, so you just open the browser, and you can adjust whatever you want on the controller with one big caveat. You still need Armoury Crate for aura syncing, but if you don't use aura syncing, however you say it, then it's all just in the browser. But you can adjust everything here. There's trigger dead zones, stick dead zones, button mappings, vibration, rear buttons, and it's all as detailed as you'd expect if you've owned any of these premium or even non-premium controllers. The amount of settings and things that you can change and fine-tune is just crazy, and it's more than enough for anybody to need. Needless to say, for somebody like me who gets easily overwhelmed by all of this, I just headed right to the lighting section to customize the lighting of the controller to what I wanted, and then I left the rest for default or whatever. This is one of those things where I am super glad all of this exists for the people that need it, and if I need it at some point, but I just don't need all of these settings right now, and so I'm good at the moment. And let's wrap it all up here right now. I think the one thing people are going to point to on this one is the price. $190, it's expensive. But this is a different market, right? There's Xbox Elite controllers, there's Razer Wolverine controllers. There is a high-end controller market, and this slides right into those. This is basically the controller that you want if you want all the frills, all the options. And yeah, this controller is awesome. It is comfortable, the sticks feel awesome, the buttons and D-pad are awesome, it's light, and everything about it is great. It definitely lives up to the price point of what it is selling at. Now, on my end, as somebody who usually does not spend this much on a controller, I can easily see the difference between this and something like the GameSir G7 Pro, which has been my go-to controller for months now. I like that controller, it's really good. However, when I play with this compared to that, I notice an instant difference in quality and feel, all of it. So there are actual upgrades here. It's just a matter of, are you going to notice them? I think one thing I've learned over the years, reviewing cheaper controllers, is that I go through them really quickly. And I'm not sure if I would with a more expensive controller, but it is worth trying out, especially in this case where it feels good, the build quality is good, and all of that. At the very least, I think this would be a better purchase than those of you buying Xbox Elite controllers, because we all know the problems that's been happening with those since the first generation. And most of the time, you're just waiting for that replacement to come in because you're RMAing all of those controllers. So that's going to be it for this one. $190 gets you a really good controller. If you're in the market for one, this could be the one that you want. Don't forget to like and sub to help the channel grow. Come join me on the Discord to talk all about controllers. Support me through YouTube membership if you like my stuff. And hope you all have a good one.